Welcome back to Beckley Rose Academy. We thought it would be good to follow up from our previous video on Goldmine area to look at how do you understand your market and the tenant demand in that particular area. So before we get into the video and we get started, if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate your comments and your feedback. And if there's any other topics you'd like us to discuss, please leave it in the comment section. So Nathan, why is it important that we should test our market or test our gold mine area?
Yeah, so really good question, Olu. So I think off the back of our previous video where we were talking about gold mine area, I think some of the concerns around rent to rent is, okay, what about if I find an area and guarantee rent to a landlord, but I cannot find any tenants? So what we wanted to kind of discuss really with you today is how you can test the market before maybe securing your first rent to rent deal. It's important that you know that there's sufficient demand. So that's what we're going to kind of start discussing in this video. So what we're going to do, one of the best probably portals in order for you to test the demand is a website called Spare Rooms. So some of you may be quite familiar with that. So what we're going to do is just going to share my screen so you guys can see what we would do to test demand in an area. So as you can see, guys, this is the Spare Room website for those of you who aren't that familiar with it. So in this box here, you can put in an area or postcode of your area. So what we're going to do is put in a postcode here, which is double N1. So I'm going to click on this. And what it will do on that first page, it will tell you rooms for rent in this area. Yeah. Now, this is the important point when testing that demand or understanding what the market's looking like. So you can see here that in this area, there's 73 rooms for rent. Yeah. So 73 rooms for rent in this particular postcode area. Yeah. So that is the supply. So what we want to know is what the demand is. So on the left-hand side here, if you then click on rooms wanted and you click on search again, it will then show you how many people are actually looking for rooms in this area. And that's the importance, because what you want ideally there to be is that there to be more people looking for rooms than there is on rooms for rent. So a higher demand than there is a supply. So if, for example, the rooms for rent was saying that there's 50 rooms for rent, but only 10 people were looking for rooms, then that would be probably quite a concern there, that actually, is this really a gold mine area if there isn't much of a demand for rooms? There's an oversupply, but not enough demand. Where on the reverse side of that is if you've got rooms for rent and they're saying that there's 50, there's a supply of 50 rooms, but there's a rooms wanted of 200, you'd be thinking fantastic, because you know that if you were to add another room to this postcode area or to your gold mine area, there's going to be a high level of demand. There's going to be a high level of interest.
And is there a specific ratio that you look? Is it as long as it's 1 to 1, or is it as long as it's 1 to every 2? What is the ratio that you look at?
So normally the ratio you'd be wanting is sort of 1 to 2. So if there was 50 rooms for rent, you ideally would want 100 people looking for rooms. So you'd want to, normally you're looking for that 1 to 2 demand. Yeah. So that's kind of the supply demand ratio that you'd be looking at when choosing an area.
And I think one of the advice I would add here is that it's good to track this on an ongoing basis, right? Because you can find that the time that you particularly check, it might just be like an off season, or a lot of people have already found accommodation at that particular time. So you really want to look over maybe a month, 2-month process, right, to see what is the real fluctuation and that ratio, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think at the moment with with COVID-19, unfortunately, there's been across the country not much demand for rooms at the moment. Now the housing market has picked up again, or has opened up again, so that's slowly starting to increase. But maybe if you were to look at the supply demand ratio now, if you were to look at the supply-demand ratio now, that might be different in a month's time, or in 2 months' time, in 3 months' time. So yeah, so I would definitely check that on a monthly basis to see if there's any changes due to the fluctuations in the market.
Good. Is there anything else that's quite powerful that you can use this spare room? Can you also use it to estimate how much you charge for your rooms, right? Or is there any other?
Yeah, you could. So on this right-hand side here, so I'm still in the rooms wanted section, but what you can see is check the average rents in the area. So if I was to click on that, what you'll be able to see is that so usually with rent to rent and HMOs, normally bills would be included in terms of what you're offering. So I would be looking at this column with the bills included to see what other landlords are offering in your area. So what you can see here, that for a single room, bills included in Northampton, the average room rental is £395 per month. And for a double is £105 per week. So that is also really useful, so you can understand, okay, what is the rental prices likely to be.
And this is really important because property is a numbers game, as in you need to truly understand what your projected revenue is going to be and if a deal makes sense, because you can find a good or bad deal in a great area. It doesn't make a difference. It all comes down to what deal do you have with the landlord for the guaranteed rent and how much can you actually bring in. And it's better for you to be realistic with how much you can bring in by leveraging spare room and a lot of data than just saying, okay, I think I'm going to bring in 800 per room. And it's like, wait, if I look at your current market, the average is significantly lower than that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think what we're just going to touch on now really is actually doing dummy ads. Because what I would say is that it's all well and good, these ratios, these numbers in terms of supply and demand, but actually what you actually would want to do is put an ad up yourself to truly test the market. So dummy ads are, I would say, really important, because what you want to see is how much people are interested, how many people would be clicking on your room, and you want to I would test the waters fully, because you don't want to be guaranteeing rent to a landlord just based on a supply-demand ratio without truly testing the market yourself. So just touching on dummy ad. So with a dummy ad, what you're basically doing is using spare room, and you could use Facebook as well, and you're putting an ad up on their portal, a dummy ad. Now, how you could go about this is you could go onto Google, and you could put in, go into Google Images, you could click double bedroom, or you could click kitchen, bathroom, and you're just going to get some images, basically. Now, you need to really think about the images that you're going to use, because you want that in line with what you're likely to be offering. There's no point putting pictures of a £1 million mansion when clearly that's not what you're going to be offering in terms of your HMO room. So be realistic with the pictures that you choose. Then what you can do is use spare room, use Facebook, and you can put an ad together based on rooms that is likely that you'd be offering. And this is also where the average room rentals here on spare room is really important, because you would want to make sure that you're putting the price of that room in line with the average rental prices in your area. So there's no point trying to offer your room for £800 when the average double room in this particular area, for example, is only £105 per week, because you're obviously not going to get any interest at all. So that's where this is really useful. So make sure that you put the room rate in line with what you're looking to offer. Then you would put sort of a description of your ad, and then you can post it through spare room, through Facebook.
And how would you know if that's successful? So what is the response that you would be looking for to know if that's successful?
Yeah, it's a good question. So probably in a week, with your ad being up in a week, you would want sort of 5 serious people sort of interested in your room. Because what they say, especially during sort of slow periods in a year, it normally takes about 5 people to come and see your room for only one person to take it. You know? So you kind of want to at least 5 people seriously interested in one of your rooms, because realistically, it's only going to be one of those 5 people who would actually take a room. So that's kind of the ratio I would work in a week. So I'd have my ad up in Spare Room, have my ad up in Facebook, and in a week you would want to see, has 5 people kind of gauged a serious interest. So what I mean by serious interest is we would really like to come and view this property.
Nice. No, that's really helpful. So Nathan, what happens then when one of these potential tenants call you based on a dummy ad?
Yeah, that can be a bit of an awkward conversation, because obviously you don't actually have a room. But what you would just say to that particular tenant is, thank you for your interest. Unfortunately, somebody has just taken that room. But we're going to have some rooms coming up in the area very soon. So if you're happy to leave your contact details, an email, phone number, as soon as we've got some rooms available, we can contact you. What's fantastic about that is that you're then just building up a list of contacts. So actually, if you do then choose this area, get a property, you can then start contacting people from this list who've already contacted you for one of your rooms.
Nice. That's really good. You'll be surprised, like the property space is not just about emotions and feelings. It's a lot about data and leveraging the data out there. So if that's through spare rooms, so being able to understand your demand, understand the average price you can get for your room, or if it's by collecting the data on potential tenants, so that when you do get those properties, you can reach out to them and say, hey, this property's just come on the market. Here are some of the pictures. Would you be interested in coming for a viewing?
Yeah, no, exactly that. So this is kind of a roundup of how we would test demand, how we would test the market before kind of choosing our area. Now, what we'll do in some future videos is actually share you some of our other marketing methods to actually have a continuous source of tenants coming through. So once we have taken a property, what are all of the avenues or the marketing methods that we use to find tenants? So we'll touch on that on another video. So I hope you guys have found this video really useful. As always, please like this video. Please subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We'll be more than happy to answer those. And if you've got anything that you would like us to discuss in future videos, again, add it to your comments. We'll see you in our future videos. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Beckley Rose Property Solutions, the master key of property management.